I'm not very good at coming in like early in the morning. I find it really hard to get up. So I think the biggest thing is like trying to be really strict with myself to come like get up and get in at a good time and put in a good day's work. I mean, so I get in for like 10 o'clock, so it's not like I'm laying in bed till midday, but it's just having that like discipline to make yourself get up, because obviously, you know, if I don't turn up to work, there's no one here to tell me where I or to chase me, etc.
No, the style has always remained the same. At university, it was you can definitely see the sort of, you can trace the path of it, but it was that I hadn't produced some of the work that I wanted to. I think my own fault at university. I didn't sort of nail a few pieces that I really wanted to, and I felt my portfolio sort of lacked in certain areas. So I went away and spent 6 months, like 5 days a week, working on putting that in there and creating pieces of work that I wanted to work in future. I did a bunch of character work that was sort of surreal character illustrations that I really wanted to get humour and wit into, and did a series, I think, of about 6 of these characters, and they sort of were the key, like the first piece of my portfolio that I showed. And then work came in off the back of that was, they wanted that style, they wanted that wit, and they wanted that humour. Whereas if those hadn't been in my portfolio, the work I would have been commissioned for would have started off in a really different way. And I was quite aware of starting my career with work that I really, really wanted to showcase and do in the future.
I think one of the biggest hurdles that I still face is just trying to manage my time. Just trying to make sure that I obviously put in a lot of time into my work, but I don't overdo it. I don't spend too much time working, and just trying to make sure I do have free time away from work, you know, actually having a life outside of work. Because I think it's very easy as a freelancer to just fully immerse yourself in that world and then to never stop. And you know, you see people getting burnt out quite quickly, and that happens to myself quite a lot. You know, you have a big job on, and then after that you just don't want to do anything for a couple of weeks. And just trying to, because things are quite busy now, just it's quite constant. There's never really many sort of downtimes. So it's just making sure that I approach it in a way that I can be constantly working, and I'm not having to take a week off after every job just to have a break and, you know, recharge.
Managing my time, I reckon. That's got to be, I suppose one of the hardest things, and not, focusing on one thing and not getting distracted by another, you know, whether it's sort of emails, admin, spending too long on something. It could be, it's just sort of, I reckon, time management. In some respects you find it easy, but then sometimes you can't help but get kind of caught in what you're doing and almost not stepping back in time, you know, so you almost don't go too far with it rather than just sort of stop and take a break. But I have learned over years just to kind of not overdo it and sort of wait for some feedback and then, you know, come back to it. Or, you know, if you're getting bogged down, maybe switch to something else. And
I think the hardest thing about being freelance is probably being your own boss. It's like I guess it's a positive and a negative, because at the same time, like, I can decide what I want to do, what projects I want to work on, how late I work, when I take holiday, etc. But at the other side of it is that you can never really take a break. You know, you go on holiday and you still get emails come through, and you've got to answer them because otherwise you can't just ignore people. It's not good business sense. And I think that as you develop, you learn to just juggle that pressure a bit more. So I think, but sometimes I would like just to go home from work and then just leave it there. But
there are times where, you know, not having, for example, any holiday pay or sick cover or things like that, it's quite hard being a freelancer sometimes, because you're very much out there on your own. And that's definitely a downside. But being able to manage your time yourself and being able to take time off when you want I think it counters it nicely. You know, being able to, for example, if something comes up, just go away and not have to hand in sort of notice or give your boss a couple of weeks. I think that's a really nice side of it.
Yeah, well, I suppose just not having a cut-off really, not being able to choose when you're busy and when you're not, or knowing when to plan a holiday. I'd say that's maybe the hardest thing, because you have to, sometimes you can be stacked, juggling 3 or 4 things, and other times it can, work the opposite way. But usually whenever I book a holiday, I get a job coming, so it's that sort of timing issue. But
I like that you're self-directed. I like that you choose your path and you create your own brand really. And I never really liked the idea of going into a place and having to work solely for someone else's brand. I obviously work for brands now that they have their direction and they have their ideas of who they are, but they come to you to sort of inject something of your own personality into it, and that's my biggest. That's the thing I really enjoy, because you pump a lot of yourself into it, and that's interesting for me. It's interesting that your career feels like quite biographical. It feels like everything that you do, you can trace your path through that, and I find that just like fascinating, really.